is really an opportunity, right? So it's an opportunity to optimize the business, and that's really where all the fruit is, man.
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Stephen Franson.
Welcome back to another episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast, Chiropractic's #1 business podcast. I'm Dr. Pete Camiolo.
And I'm Dr. Stephen Franson.
And I have a question for you today. We have a question for you. And the question is simple. How big is your problem? And my thinking, and Dr. Stephen, yours as well, is that the problem you have is maybe bigger than you think. I know most chiropractors like you and I, Dr. Stephen, are optimists by nature. So this is going to speak a little bit into your optimism. We're going to change the word from optimism to optimized, and we're going to optimize your optimism. We're going to get clear on what it means, because at the end of the day, you're not even close to optimized yet. Dr. Stephen, today we're going to lean in, because what we know is that what the world needs right now is chiropractic. And what chiropractic needs right now is more successful chiropractors. And in order for us to reach the world, we need to be optimizing the functions of our business to reach them, to serve them, and to keep them under care. And so, Dr. Stephen, the problem is bigger than we think.
Dr. Pete, I love that. That was such a great entree into this subject matter, because we spend an inordinate amount of time talking to chiropractors about their businesses. And yes, I love the fact that we're all pathological optimists. You have to be an entrepreneur, right? So, but what's awesome is when we have conversations with these chiropractors, taking a look at not just their practice but their business, is we get to have a two-part conversation with them, which is, number one, their problem's bigger than they think it is, right? So, and number two, the good news is that problem is really an opportunity, right? So it's an opportunity to optimize the business. And that's really where all the fruit is, man. It's like on the other side of it, because, the expenses pretty much, are the expenses, right? The expenses to be in chiropractic and be a chiropractor who owns a chiropractic practice and business. Those practices, I'm not going to say they're totally fixed, but they're largely fixed, right? So it's like there are costs associated with being open as a practice, right? So regardless of how optimized you are, and that's the punchline here, right? This is like, at the end of the day, your overhead, your nut is going to, in essence, it's going to be almost fixed. So you have an opportunity there to see such a growth in profit if you optimize the business, right? So there's lots of ways to do this, right? And we're going to have a conversation today about, from a high level, of a few very specific things that they can do, right? So, but I want it to be an encouraging conversation, right? So first and foremost, just recognize your problem is bigger than you think it is, right? So for example, if you currently, with your team and your process and your physical plant, you have the potential to be doing, let's say, $75,000 a month in collections. Let's just pick a round number here. So if you should be doing $75,000 a month with your existing process, existing systems, existing team, existing physical plant, if you should be doing $75,000 a month, and you'd be operating consistently and sustainably at 85% of the total capacity of the business, you're doing $75,000, or you could be doing $75,000 a month, and you are currently only doing $25,000 a month. You have to understand that you have a $50,000 a month problem. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you have the capacity, the potential, if you were optimized to do $75,000 a month, and you currently are only doing $25,000 a month, that's a $50,000 a month problem. That's a $600,000 a year problem. Dr. Pete, I'm telling you right now, the problem is bigger than they think it is, right? So the opportunity loss right now is so much bigger than they think it is. And I hope that people find that energizing. Right. So one part piss you off, two parts energizing, right? To be fair, right? To recognize it's like, wow, there's a lot of runway out in front of you, because for the most part, if you were to look at the business from a high level, let's go across the domains of the business: attraction, conversion, retention, team building, and collections. there is so much room for improvement here. Because truth is, all of the capacity issues that people struggle with that keep them small and really compromise their productivity and, dare I say, their profitability, is it's death by 1,000 cuts, right? It's 1% here, 3% here, 1% there, right? It's all over the board, so to speak, which is exciting because it means that you don't have to, it's not going to be one thing that you've got to overcome. It's just that we've got to suck a little less at a lot of things.
You know, Dr. Stephen, as you were sharing that, I was thinking about, pushing the envelope was really the thought that came to my mind, and what happens when you push the envelope, right? So when you push the envelope, when you push something to its capacity, you begin to see where, the bolts start to shake and the things start to fall and the steering wheel starts to rattle and you start to bug out a little bit. And it's like, there's an actual value to it. There's a value to pushing, to testing something's limits so that where it's, where that sweet spot is. And that's one of the things that I love about being high volume. I'm high volume in every area of my life. That's how we roll. So when you push the envelope in everything that you do and you go all the way and then you push it just a little bit further, what ends up happening is you have the ability to see what's possible. And I love that you talked about how the problem is the opportunity, and that's what's possible. So like when you have a problem like that is the opportunity. It's actually the hidden opportunity is inside of investigating the problem. And so when you push that envelope, when you push it beyond what's possible, that's when you begin to see what's really going on inside. So I feel personally convicted about the fact that for a lot of us, we haven't necessarily pushed the envelope, pushed it enough to really test what's possible. What is this business capable of doing? What is our team capable of doing? What are we capable of doing? And I'm not talking about pushing us to the point of burnout, right? I'm not talking about going to this unsustainable place where things begin to break down and things begin to fall apart chronically. That's not the goal. But Dr. Stephen, and I relate this directly back to a chiropractic practice, that when you push and you see, let's say, a high volume of people every single day, high volume of new ones, high volume of conversions, high volume of retention, high volume of all the things, families, people, your team, the high volume of trainings every week, high volume of meetings every week. In other words, some of you are like, I don't know if we're even doing a team training once a week. I'm like, well, you could actually be doing 3 or 4 trainings a week. And if you built a bigger business, you would have that many going on. And well, we're doing 1 team meeting a week. It's like, well, actually, technically, if you look at the operating system, there's a minimum of 3 meetings happening every single week. And then every day there's 2 meetings happening. So technically, if you're open 5 days a week, you're doing 18 meetings a week, technically. So, you start looking at volume and capacity and really pushing it. Like, are we really pushing it? And I go into every mechanism of what we do and say, is our huddle optimized, right? Is that our problem? Maybe our problem is in just our pre-shift huddle. Maybe that's actually the issue. Maybe that's why we're at 25%, or sorry, 25K and not at 75K. We just haven't optimized a meeting rhythm called the daily huddle. And it's pre-shift work. And because we're not optimizing just that one mechanism, we have an issue with kept visit percentage. And so what's happening is we are putting apples on the cart, but apples are falling off the cart and we're spinning our wheels. And this has been going on for a while, but that's because we just haven't optimized this one process or procedure called the daily huddle. We haven't pushed that one and we haven't optimized that. So therefore that's the problem, right? So where the problem is, that's where the opportunity is. That's where that gap is. And I hope, Dr. Stephen, that example of we have the potential to do 75,000 a month. And I hope this lands. I know a lot of the docs we listen to are like, hey, we want to get to that 7-figure club. If you're listening to this and you're on your way to the 7-figure club, man, I can't wait till you get there. I know a lot of people that have rung the bell this past year, and I'm so excited for them, right? Just breaking through, because that's a barrier, that 7-figure mark.
That's right.
And for a lot of us, we're like, hey, I'm hovering at 25K, we have a 75 capacity, or we're at 50K, but we have an 85K capacity. It's like, and the difference between you getting there, that's the pain. The pain is right there. That's the issue, is that, if your problem is a $50,000 problem or a $35,000 problem, you can solve that problem by pushing it and by looking at where these opportunities, small little adjustments that you can make in your business. And you're going to find that's 20,000, 15,000, 35,000. That's where that's coming from. Dr. Stephen, it's an opportunity for us as a CEO, but also with our
Dr. Pete, I'm glad you brought up the seven-figure club because
clinic director,
this is something that
directors of the domains of our business.
It's an awesome opportunity for us to recognize so many of our clients. We have hundreds and hundreds of coaching clients that are just in our CEO program, for example, right? But we have clients in launch, build, scale, exit, right? So across all 4 seasons, this particular podcast is dedicated to the scale conversation, right? So when we talk about somebody who's in build who wants to scale, or somebody who's in scale who wants to scale well, right? So you've gone from build to scale because you hired another associate doctor, or you have a partner, or you have multiple associate doctors, or even multiple practices and an enterprise client. Now you're trying to figure out how to go from just, hey, I created more complexity, let me create more productivity and profitability, right? So this is the doctors who are trying to go from scale to scale well, right? So scaling well, or maybe it's to scale to exit, right? So wherever you are right now, the 7-figure club implies that you have either hit $1 million in revenue for the first time since joining the Remarkable Practice, or you've hit your next level, right? So you've gone from 1 million to 2 million for the first time, 3 million for the first time, 6 million for the first time, 12 million, 24. Our biggest practice last year is 36 million. So the truth is, Dr. Pete, is wherever you are right now, it's the same conversation. Okay. So are you optimized? And I'll have the same conversation with the guy at 36 million. I know, because I spoke to him on Monday night, the same conversation as the guy that's at 36,000 a month, right? So don't kid yourself, right? Like if you are already doing 1.5 million, but your capacity is to see 3 million, you have $1.5 million problem. If you have a $2 million business right now, but you have the capacity to be a $5 million practice, you have a $3 million problem. So do not check out here, right? So just recognize that it is a moving target, and the target is called optimization. So we define optimization as being able to sustainably operate at 85% of any given primary functions operational capacity, right? So the accountability grid, we talk about it all the time. It's attraction, conversion, retention, team building, and collections. Each one of those has 3 subdomains. So there's 15 primary functions of any business, whether you're the one at 3,500 a month, 35,000 a month, or doing the 3.5 million, you've got 15 primary functions of your business, right? So at the end of the day, the question is are they optimized? Each one. So the ability to audit and go through and say, is this at 85% of its capacity, which is the sustainable level? Because you start pushing 90, 92, 93%, guess what? You're going to be hitting pain lines. Remember we talked about the superior pain line? Your team is going to hit break points. They're going to start pumping the brakes. The machine's going to start to break, right? So that's when we talk about optimization. Your goal, your target is to be 85% of the capacity of every one of those primary functions. So when you say, is the business in its totality, is it optimized? Are all 15 primary functions of the business operating at 85% of their capacity? That's the potential of the business. So Dr. Pete, there's a lot of levers in there, right? So today we're just talking about top line revenue, right? So, but the top line revenue is this is kind of like all roads lead to Rome. Well, all roads lead to revenue and profit, right? So at the end of the day, we talk about revenue a lot because frankly, profit throws people, because most people do not know how to calculate their profit. They do not know their profit, their true profit, or their profit margin, right? So in the spirit of wanting to make sure that this is tangible, and we can have a tenable conversation here with this audience, we talk about revenue, but at the end of the day, profit, right, is what matters, right? So revenue is about vanity, profit is about sanity, right? So at the end of the day, a truly optimized business has profitability as its number one target, right? So beyond the scope of this conversation, but Dr. Pete, I want to make sure that everybody is just called to action on that and to recognize it's like, oh man, Franson, I didn't see you going there. But yes, we want to make sure that this business is absolutely optimized. So that 5th domain is finances, right? So making sure that the financial health of the business is also in check. It's not just about new patient leads or converting and closing people, or even, dare I say, the retention or moving as many people as possible into wellness. All those things are awesome. All of them are awesome. Okay. But at the end of the day, don't take your eye off of profitability when we're talking about optimizing the business, right? So Dr. Pete, the problem's bigger than they think it is, right? The problem is bigger than they think it is. So you've got to first figure out, what is the capacity of this business from domain to domain, from primary function to primary function. What would 85% productivity look like in each of these 15? What is the potential of this business? Because at the end of the day, we want them to see that if this business should be doing 100,000 a month and it's doing 50,000, we have a $50,000 a month problem. That's a $600,000 a year problem. That's a big problem. If you're supposed to be doing 3 million and you're only doing 1.5 million, you got a $1.5 million problem, which means you've got $1.5 million opportunity.
Hey, Remarkables, it's Dr. Kale here. Today, I'm honored to be in our studio with Dr. Erik Kowalke from SKED. SKED is one of our remarkable success partners, and they are great at enhancing practices. So I'm super pumped to be here today with you, Dr. Erik. It's an honor. You know, we have an amazing CEO audience with us here today, and some of them may know who you are. Some of them may not, right? They may not be familiar with you. So I'd love you to take a moment or two, introduce yourself, help us to get to know the expert in the room a little bit. Tell us a bit about your story, and then what has led to us ultimately being here today, having a chat.
Awesome. Well, great to be here. And if you're listening to this, you are looking to grow your chiropractic clinic and be a better leader. I think Dr. Franson, Dr. P, and Dr. Kale have done a great job putting all this content together. So thank you guys for doing that and the service to the profession. I'm a chiropractor first and foremost. Husband, father of 6 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We have two locations, 2 clinics, cumulatively seeing 16 to 1,800 visits a week, family wellness-based practice. And we just have a passion for serving families and getting chiropractic care out to the masses. And we founded SKED back in 2016 to help us run our practice more efficiently. How do we save time? We were in 1,300 square feet, seeing 1,000 a week in that practice, and we had no room for one more team member. Virtual assistants didn't exist, and there was no technology that was a patient app or automated texting solutions or anything that we needed to do. And we solved the problem. We created SKED for that purpose, and it's just grown into a technology that really helps us save time, saves us time as doctors, saves our team time, and generates revenue back into the practice through really intelligent automations and connecting data sources that we have to patient experience. And we really make it a win-win. What I think I love about SKED is every dollar we invest back into the company, and we only serve chiropractic, helps not only the practice run more efficiently, but it's a win for the patient as well, which is unique about our software. Most, an EHR company really isn't interacting at all with the patient. And our software interacts with 500,000 patients on a monthly basis. And we actually support all of those patients. So if a patient has a problem logging in or scheduling, something in the app, our team supports them. So we're supporting 500,000 chiropractic patients on a monthly basis, which is really cool. And it makes their life easier and makes it more convenient for them to access chiropractic care on a regular, consistent basis, which is part of our mission, is just spreading chiropractic care. And I'm happy to be here and go through some of the things that we've been working on.
Awesome, man. I love that. I knew you had some kids. I didn't know you had a half a baseball team.
Yeah, six, 3 boys, 3 girls.
So no doubt you needed to save some time and be efficient when you invented or when you developed SKED. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I think you did speak to this a little bit, just in terms of what you do specifically or what SKED does. But every business exists to solve a problem, right? And your business obviously is to help busy chiropractors help more people. Can you tell the listeners specifically what SKED does to do that? How you do that?
Yeah. And if you tell a chiropractor, hey, there's this new software that's really helping us, they're like, the last thing I need is one more software. The last thing I need is one more thing that I have to manage. Well, I'm the same way. I'm literally the chiropractor, and we're creating the software. And what's great about SKED is it's not something that creates another platform that you need to manage consistently in order for it to work. It's really automating it. So I'll just start high level. Patient communication is how do we advance and improve our ability to communicate with the people that come into our practice? And that's through texting, that's through push notifications, which is in every single mobile device now, and through really smart automated email processes. The one thing that we do really unique is we create automated systems that feel personalized. I want every text message that comes to a patient of mine to feel like somebody in my office actually typed it and sent it. Because we're a family. People think of our office like a family. They come in like they're part of our family. We've seen them for years, and most chiropractors run their offices that way. So if they feel like there's this cold automated messaging platform that the chiropractor just happens to be using, that changes the feel of the office. And like, do they still trust you when they get all these messages? And if they're wrong, or they send them at the wrong time, or the wrong appointment code, or asking them to do something that, tell them they missed when they actually didn't miss, they were already in the office. And so we've done a really good job making sure our system is reliable and provides that patient experience through communication. So what's the most convenient thing for our office is the first question we said. Is if somebody needs to move an appointment today by 15 minutes either way, or they can't come in this morning because their kid is sick and couldn't go to school, or they're on their field trip with their son or something that popped up last minute and they want to come this afternoon, let's provide the most convenient experience for them, which is to jump on the patient app, find the time, move the time, reschedule. Yeah. Because if they want to call us, we're not open at 6 a.m. when they find out that their schedule changed. And so let's create the most convenient experience for them. Meanwhile, all the settings on the back end are the same as if we would train a team member in the office. So they can't move it where it doesn't work or it's going to screw up our schedule. So we call that overbook protection. Basically, it's set up so if our schedule ever gets screwed up, it's because one of my team members manually put an appointment in or changed something that they shouldn't have done. If it's done through SKED, it just never screws up.
That's a good thing.
Yes. So that was the first one. Is how do we make the experience more convenient for the patient? And we mastered that through scheduling. Doesn't matter what services you provide, how many providers, certain people working part-time shifts, certain days, doing different services that only see certain people. Like every chiropractic office runs a little bit differently. And we have such a dynamic system that you can literally customize to any scenario that you run your practice. I think that's very unique. The second one is just like a white glove experience from our team. I'm a busy chiropractor that's running 2 companies. We have 7 chiropractors in our facility. I don't have time to manage an entire software platform. So when we built the SKED team, we said, okay, guys, you're going to do this for the chiropractors. Like, set it all up for them. If they have a problem and they're like, hey, can you set up my appointment reminder for such and such? Absolutely. We'll set it up. We'll do whatever we got to do. So I think that support and knowing that you're working with a team of people that has your best interest and is committed to making sure that your experience for your office is exceptional is what makes us stand above and beyond. And then there's just a whole series of features we created to automate processes and systems and data transfer. Like we have a digital forms product that just pushes your forms into your EHR for you. We have automated reactivation campaigns that can basically take over reactivating existing patients for you all automatically. Portals that you can get new patients from online, trivia questions and smart reply questions. So if you're finding like people keep asking me about shoulder exercises in the adjusting room and I'm showing them how to do that, or my associate is taking too much time showing them how to stretch their shoulder, we can just create a PDF on how to stretch shoulder and have the patient text shoulder, and it'll automatically send them a message and a PDF and a picture on what they should be doing and how they should be doing it. So just all these really cool technological automations that free us up and save us time and allow us to focus on what we do best.
That's cool, man. Listen, I can speak to that a little bit as a user, right? I'm a relatively recent user in the last year of SKED, and I think you guys have just struck such a nice balance between automation and personalization. Like I was nervous about that, particularly around the scheduling. Giving up control of our schedule felt,
yes,
it was a bit nerve-wracking for me. I'm sure you've experienced that. But it's been seamless. It was pretty cool. And so it's saved my team hours on the phone every week, right? Like it's literally saving us hours. And I'm glad that we're doing this call today, because I've learned a couple things that I didn't know that SKED did that I'm going to go back to my team today, talk to them about, so that we can save a little bit of additional time and resources. So I did notice too that the onboarding process was daunting a little bit at first because of all the complexity. We have a complex office, as you alluded to, lots of different practitioners doing different things. But you guys, it was a great job onboarding. So I really appreciated that.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad. Thanks for the feedback. And I think what you just said is can't be underestimated. Like saving my team hours of time. You talk to any chiropractor, what's your biggest struggle in practice? It's team. It's like finding good people and trusting them and getting them to show up. And inevitably, they're all going to make a mistake because they're a human. So where can I leverage their time? And like, what if your team could save hours of time every week? What could they be doing for you to help build your business? Talk to the people that are coming in and retain them and educate them and internal referrals. There's like plenty of work to do if we could free them up from doing repetitive, mundane things, especially phones. Like phones is just a constant. If your front desk is on the phone, the people's experience coming in and leaving goes down. They're like, this person's on the phone, I can't talk to them. Or like, I'll talk to you later. You're like literally losing revenue from that experience.
So could you speak to that specifically? Because, we're all wearing a CEO hat, the people on this call, generally speaking. And so as CEOs, we want to know about the return on investment we're going to get. So I'm curious if you could just speak to that, specifically, if you have any metrics or stats that demonstrate when someone implements your program, here's what you might expect from a return on investment standpoint.
Yeah. So here's the best one I could think of, which is let's just talk pure show up rate. So in our office, we measure two metrics: kept visit percentage and show up rate. So kept visit percentage, just round numbers. Let's say I show up on Monday and I have 100 people on the schedule. If 80 of those 100 come in, then I have an 80% kept visit percentage.
Yeah.
So prior to SKED and using this technology, we would be, 85%, probably 85 to 90% of people would come in that were on the schedule that day. And then we get like 5% that just walk in. Somebody that hurt themselves and they just walk in. And then like a couple people that call that day that, hey, I hurt myself, can I come in? And so we'd be anywhere between 90 to 95% show up rate by the end of the day is what we would call it. 80 to 85 kept visit percentage, 90, 95 show up rate. And sometimes that would drop to 85, 90 show up rate. Well, what we found is there's this group of people that wasn't going to come in today that wants to. There's a schedule for Tuesday, but they realize that they can't come in Tuesday. They should come on Monday. And then there's a group of people that they really know that they want to come in today, but they don't want to call you, and they're not going to just show up. And they're like, they're usually busy. So if I call them, I got to call them when they're open, and then hopefully they answer and I could talk to them. But they're only open from 10 to noon, and then they're only open from 2 to 5. And I want to come in from 2 to 5, but I can't call them between 10 and noon. That's the scenario. So now what we see is our kept visit percentage improves just because we send them a reminder. So nobody forgets, like if they don't show up, it's either they forgot, they don't value care, or they knew they couldn't come in and they didn't take the time to tell you. Those are like the three reasons. So They didn't forget anymore because now they get a reminder 24 hours advance via text. 98% of people see it within a minute. We know they have an appointment. That just goes away as an excuse. The other one is value, and that's just, internal to the office. Like we know if our show up rate goes down and it's a value thing now, we have to, build and create agreements and all of that. But what we found is now that they can see availability real time today, and they can see green, yellow, red, like is it busy, kind of busy, or not so busy at those specific times, we'll get 10% of our average scheduled volume coming in that day that schedules and comes in that same day. That makes up the other people that were no-showing or might have no-showed and not told us. So we have a 99.8% show-up rate. And this is measured over years, guys. Like we had 80,000 82,000 or 83,000 visits in 2023. And that was a 99.8% show up rate out of 82,000 visits over the year. And 10% of those were people that used the app and scheduled during the day, same day, that they weren't scheduled first thing in the morning. So it's just creating this whole other funnel of ability for people to get into the practice the same day. And we know that it's not going to screw us up or overbook us because there's specific slots available, and it accurately schedules them. And what that has done is we can just rely, when we come in on Monday and there's 100 people on the schedule, we're going to see 100 people today. 99 of those, we're going to see 99, and we're doing 99 to 102. I don't really care that I know I'm not going to see 100 of the 100 that came in, but pretty accurately, we know what we can predict and what we can count on. And now we can even see how many are scheduled for next week. And we know if there's 1,500 scheduled for next week, we're going to see 1,500 next week, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. And I mean, I know as a user that's only one area where there's a possible return, so that's cool. We've seen that too. Like we had pretty much the exact same metrics as you on the front end of using SKED in terms of our show rate and our stick rate or the people that arrive for their appointments on that day.
Yeah.
And we've seen that, change. So
Yeah.
we've appreciated that component for sure.
And you look at the value of that, Kale, like, if you can get one person a day to show up that otherwise wouldn't have because you made their experience more convenient.
Yeah.
One adjustment a day, if you're at $50, you're talking $250 a week, you're talking $1,000 a month by getting one person a day to show up. Like it for sure does that,
Yes. Yeah, that's a safe bet. Yeah. So, I'm curious, considering what's important next, right? As you look at the challenges that the profession faces, at the sort of needs of the profession in the future, how is SKED sort of preparing docs for that? How are we preparing people for the future with SKED?
This industry's changed so much in the last few years. And if you're listening to this and you use a texting platform, your patients rely on that texting. Like they count on it. Yeah. So if your messaging is down for a day, I guarantee your show up rate will go down. People will not show up if they don't get their text messages. So that means it's mission critical to your office. And if our company is providing that mission critical service, it has to work. I looked this up last year. If SKED was down for one day, it would cost our clients around $1.5 to $2 million a day in lost revenue. So that can't happen.
Yes.
And so when you're looking at texting, a lot of these companies are relying on other companies to provide that texting service. They don't care about chiropractic. Like chiropractors sending text message reminders, they're worried about other industries sending millions of messages a month. So if there's a problem, they're going to help whoever's their biggest volume clients are. I'm sorry to say right now, chiropractors aren't their biggest volume clients, but that's our business. So we have invested an enormous amount of resources and team to make sure that mission critical product works. And if it goes down and something happens, we rectify that as soon as possible. And I think there's a big value in that, and knowing that we're a partner with you in your business, and we know how important it is that your system works. And so we're just constantly not only making sure it's reliable, but looking ahead at what's coming in the future. And we're already building out things that are going to be launching in 2025 that are just going to change the game for how we communicate with patients and how they can communicate with us on just a way more convenient level. It's a fun business to be in.
Oh, that's cool, man. I really appreciate your heart for the profession, for our CEO listeners, and what you're doing with SKED. I really appreciate it. You've shared some awesome gems with our crew today, so thank you for that. I'm looking forward to getting this out to our crew of Remarkables. I'm curious if there's folks that are listening that want to know, like, what do I do next? How do I take the next step? How do I get in touch? What's the best way for a listener to learn more? How do they reach out? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, great question. Our website is www.sked.life, sked.life, life. It's great. You'll find a lot of information on there. but I would say you need to schedule a demo call with our team and just spend 15, 20 minutes telling us, how do you run your practice? What are your biggest pain points? You know, what are you struggling with? I want to save my team time. I want to make it more convenient for my patients. I want more Google reviews. I want to drive more new patients. I want to improve my retention. I want to improve my conversion. Like, what is the main thing? And then my team can say, out of the 100 things that SKED does, here's the 3 that would change the game for you the fastest. Yeah. And our onboarding experience, guys, within 2 weeks, you could be like live with something that's actually helping you improve those main pain points. So I'd say go to the website, schedule a call, talk to our team, see how we can help you. That would be the best way to check us out.
Awesome. We'll drop that into the show notes too. And I really appreciate you taking the time today, Erik. It's awesome to connect with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next immersion.
Yes, absolutely.
That'll be cool, man. Have a remarkable day, brother. Thank you.
Thanks so much. See you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Now go and be remarkable.